Theory Games podcast where we bring you the latest in gaming news, indie reviews, and everything else under the sun. My name is Kendall, and I'm here with my co-host
Tony, aka Big Grit.
Okay, all right. The breakfast theme has gone too far. I ain't
Nah, it hasn't.
Yo, Big Grit just gave me like the weirdest image of like a grimace made of entirely of grits, just rapping some Big Grit shit. Like,
Okay, see, that's your fault. You
yeah,
went there.
you
That's on you.
listen. Big Grit sounds like a mascot for a fucking southern restaurant. God damn it,
Nigga, Waffle House. Holla at me.
hell yeah, just spitting endless bars. I'm not mad at it. No, but this is not an episode about that. This is, of course, Eclipse Games, where we bring you all of the latest gaming news. We kind of break down the industry, break down what we love about games, and we have a very interesting episode coming up today. But before we get into that, I just want to do like a brief check-in. I feel like we're gonna talk about a lot of industry related things. It's gonna be a somewhat somber episode. So first, let's talk about what's going on that's positive this weekend, right? I know we all just watched the end of Attack on Titan. I'm not going to spoil it. That shit was fire. You should absolutely watch that. That show's amazing. It's been
So
pretty
that really
sunny.
was the last episode?
Yeah, that was like the actual
Okay,
end.
so I can watch it now.
Yeah, it was actually like a movie, pretty much. It was like an hour and a half.
I can get into it now.
Yeah. This is what I did at like season 3. I did the same shit. I started it when the hype started, and then I kind of fell off, and I was like, I'm gonna just binge it when it's like, penultimate. But I rushed. I thought, oh, final season, now's the time. Nah, that meant it was 3-4 more years.
No patience.
Crazy shit. But got to watch that. That was awesome. I actually personally finished Better Call Saul this weekend too, so that was pretty awesome. Like, amazing show.
I heard that was fire.
Ain't gonna get into it too much. It's been nice out, and the Eagles just beat the fuck out of the fucking Cowboys. So that's pretty awesome too.
Hi, Cowboys fans. We just checking in to see if y'all still them boys.
I'm just
because it don't look like it.
I don't know what's
Dak
going
was
on.
talking about pouring some honey on him if he was in a fight with a bear and ate mad sacks in the clutch. That's nasty work.
That is nasty work. It got real grizzly out there, bro. Got real grizzly for you, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
Look like the polar opposite of a good team.
Okay. Yeah. See, now I'm with you with the puns. Now I'm all the way with you. Now we had to get our little shit off, of course. We are recording this on Sunday, so it's fresh off that dub. But we're gonna kind of get into some gaming related topics, kind of focusing on the state of the industry right now, like what's been going on, what we want to see going forward. I know we've kind of done some episodes about franchises and like what we want to see from them, but I want to kind of broaden the spectrum. And I know one particular topic that's kind of prompted this whole discussion is all the fucking layoffs. Like, what's going on with the industry having tons and tons of layoffs across the board? You see it at Bungie, Media Molecule, who makes like Little Big Planet and Dreams. They just had a round of layoffs. Epic just had a round of layoffs. It's getting crazy. So, it's something that we all need to kind of stop and talk about.
I was going to say something clever just now, but I'm more like I think in the last 18 months, having spent all of this time actually getting closer and closer to getting a job in the gaming industry, because I've formed relationships with some people, and some people actually like stuck their necks out and helped me out. It's less of a outside looking in thing where I can just go, oh damn, this sucks. And now I'm annoyed. I'm pissed off because like I'm seeing people that I genuinely fuck with, losing their jobs.
Yeah.
Over dumb shit. Because like we've been talking about how great this year has been for gaming, and quite honestly, we kind of need to admit that, because the year is trash for gaming, because the fact of the matter is these developers are the reasons we have these games. And if they're not doing well from the standpoint of being able to keep their jobs, even though they're putting out really good shit to making a shit ton of money, then it's not a good year in the gaming industry. Right. I mean, this is an industry that I think in the last 12 months, or maybe just this calendar year, I can't remember exactly which, it's $300-something billion in profits.
Yeah.
Like the whole industry, $300-something billion.
Like,
and motherfuckers is losing their jobs?
Left
How
and
the
right.
fuck does that make sense?
That's my whole thing. Like that is and I'm granted, I'm not like, you know, the most business savvy individual in the world, but logically, that doesn't make fucking sense. That means that there's more money being pumped into the development of games than there is coming in to sustain the people that make them. And before we get too deep into that, I do want to point out, like, I have looked into some of it, and a lot of this year being so utterly trash is kind of due to the pandemic and like the quarantine. It kind of goes both ways. I remember us talking about why this year was so great for games and why all these incredible bangers were dropping left and right, and talking about how, oh yeah, everybody was locked up for like 2-3 years just working on shit. Well, with that comes big boost in profits that kind of sets a standard that can't be sustained. Like the industry was working overtime from home and making, crazy money in 2021, 2022, and now that's kind of having an effect where it what they did, all the hiring and all the development that they put into place to kind of sustain that, it's not sustainable. That's not how the industry is going, especially as things slow down and we start to get back into the office and things like that. So that's a big part of it. But even before that, even with no context like that in place, there was still tons of layoffs happening left and right in the industry, in what is one of the biggest industries for entertainment in the world, if not the biggest. So I honestly just can't understand why.
It's one of them things where I look at these studios and I wonder what do they think they're going to do? Because they're not hiring juniors. See, that's the problem is you're not hiring juniors, so you're laying off these seniors because they make too much money. You don't want to bring in talent to replace them, or not even replace them, but just bring in talent and build them up because you don't want to put the money into that. But then you're going to go back around, and when you need somebody, you're going to hire one of these seniors that just got laid off, and you're just going to keep the fucking cycle going. And that's the problem in the industry. And I've seen people say it since these layoffs have really gotten like ridiculous, probably since March.
Mm-hmm.
And that the gaming industry, the developers need to unionize.
Yeah.
And yes, they do need to unionize. The problem is that it's just some people just don't know where to start. Like that's a difficult process because that does affect people's livelihoods because people will lose their jobs behind it anyway. So yeah, that's the case, but the pressure needs to come from people on this side of it because gaming journalists are part of the gaming industry. Like that's just what it is. Pressure needs to come from our side of it. We need to talk about it more. We need to put pressure on these studios to stop doing it, but also put this out there, put it into the mainstream that this stuff is going on because people only care about layoffs when it's the fucking financial sector or the real estate sector. The quote unquote real shit.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, man, this is a big fucking deal and good people are losing their jobs. Talented people are losing their fucking jobs. But the gaming journalism side of it needs to get on their fucking job and help these folks out. So if nothing else, because people talk about the layoffs from a standpoint of numbers and facts where it's, hey, we have to report on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool. But actually put something behind it. We need to put something behind it. So if we can start that here, then cool. But these studios need to know this shit ain't okay. We know you making money hand over fist. Everybody and their mama knows that. It's not even a matter of it not being sustainable. The money that's rolling in is fucking ridiculous. It's the type of shit you could buy an NFL team with.
Yeah.
This is not a matter of, oh, we've got too many programmers and we need to let some go because it's affecting our bottom line. It ain't affecting shit.
Well,
y'all ain't hurting at all.
The reason that it's affecting it is because of how they prioritize. Like their priorities are going to go into different things and they're going to cut humans to save money on marketing or, whatever. I'm not, just singling out marketing. I know that's an actual industry with people that work in it as well. But like whatever's going to push the product further, they're going to sacrifice people's livelihoods for it. And that's the problem with the industry right now. Like it kind of reminds me of the VFX industry. Like, I don't know if you follow a lot of that, but you hear a lot about it with the MCU, but just in general, like these companies will bankrupt themselves. Like I think the company that redid Sonic might not exist anymore, just off the strength of that project, having to just pump all their resources and crunch and, make this masterpiece. And then it's just like, it dissolved everything. So when you think about sustainability for these companies, it's how are you structuring this? Like, what are you prioritizing? Where are you, if you're going to do this, if you're going to, take from one end of the pool and put it in the other to make sure that your company's making money, make sure you're prioritizing the people because we care. This is one rare industry where the fans treat the developers the way we should treat, like, how music industry, there's always a superstar.
For the
We're
most
not,
part.
yeah, for the most part, but we know those people. Like we'll be hip to companies as if they're the stars of the show. Like, like the music industry might not give the credit to like the producers or the people in the background that even the A&R people, but in the games industry, we have a unique position. Not even that we do, but we can highlight those people and sing the praises because they make masterpieces. They make incredible art. These are worlds that we run around in, and we want to protect the people that we don't get the superstars, the Kojimas and the Amy Hennings and all those people without protecting these people's livelihoods and allowing them to flourish and grow. So we need to be better, just as an industry and as a whole.
Yeah, man, you got a bunch of dickheads who ain't never turned on a fucking Nintendo console making these fucking decisions, man. This is these fucking shareholders and CEOs and shit,
Yeah.
man. It's not people who actually give a fuck about the industry making these decisions, and that's the fucking problem.
Yep. And that's what happens when you start making that type of money. Like, it happens to film. That's why you get people mad at these blockbusters and the Fast and the Furiouses and the MCUs because you see the side of it where it's a business. Sometimes that side of it produces fun experiences like that. It doesn't have to be, mainstream is not always bad. Pop is not terrible by off, the strength of it being pop, but don't force the industry into that place because you lose a lot of heart. You start to sacrifice, like we said, sacrifice people in for the sake of profits. It's really just that simple, and we can't have that, man. But
yeah, man, people get out here talking about, man, well, people should just start indie studios, man. You know how fucking hard it is to start a studio. You know how
yeah,
fucking hard it is to get the funding for shit like this. Like
yeah,
Midwest Games they just got 3 million in funding, I think, recently from Titletown, but they had the infrastructure in place to where they were able to get it. But that's not always the norm. Like it's a lot of people that start shit can't get the funding with it and got to shut down almost immediately. Like that's
facts.
not some shit people can just do and you just jump up a bunch of indie studios. Now I will say this, job wise, indie's the way to go. This AAA shit, that's what's hurting people. That's where you're seeing these layoffs. It's AAA
Mm-hmm.
shit. And motherfuckers that Embracer just bought up a bunch of shit and then let people go months later, man. Fuck them. Straight up.
Yeah, yeah. I can't. I can't. Again, I can't speak on the business side of it. I don't know what them deals look like. From my perspective, it looks like that is the consolidation we worry about when we talk about Microsoft's deal for Activision Blizzard and things like that. Like that's a company that's just gobbling people up and spitting out what they don't like or don't need anymore. And that shit's trash. Like that is actually objectively trash. Can't let that happen. I will say, as far as indie studios to go, I agree with you because we need to help each other build this shit up. Like that is how we get those further. It's how you build a studio into a super giant or whatever. You know what I mean? So just wanted to add that point as well. But I don't want it to be all gloom and doom as far as talking about the industry. Our hearts go out to anybody affected by layoffs, and we hope that you land on your feet and companies see your talent. But on the state of the industry as a whole, I kind of want to just talk about the direction things are going. I know we've touched on this topic before, but I guess it's a good time to pivot into subscription services and how it seems like that might be the wave in a lot of ways. We all have opinions on the way Game Pass does it, but you see the numbers that they're putting up, which is crazy. And for a long time, they weren't even profitable. So with that being said, do you see a point where, first of all, do you see a point where Sony gets on board? Like, that's really the big question.
See, that's hard to say because they are so adamant about making what they do about narrative single player experiences
Hmm.
that between them and Nintendo, I kind of feel like they're still trying to hold on to like that traditional style of gaming. Because I'm personally, I'm not with the whole subscription service thing. like turning gaming into Netflix and shit like that. Because we're getting too far, and this is like as far as entertainment in general, dealing with streaming, we're getting way too far into being too comfortable with not owning shit.
Mm.
Like
Yeah, that's
we're
a
at
fair
the point
point.
where physical media is about to fucking die out, and you're not going to own the shit you're streaming.
Right.
Like you think like, can you find the spiteful chant anywhere other than YouTube? No, because the fucking sample didn't clear.
It's crazy.
Like you, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, you missing a whole fucking track on Section 80 because the sample didn't clear. So what's the fucking point of having the album if you got to miss tracks on all kinds of shit because the sample didn't clear? Big Crit had to release 12 for 12 with remade beats and rename the
Hmm.
shit a Style Not Free because he can't clear the samples because they're all other people's fucking beats. And this is the type of shit that you miss when you actually own the shit that's going on. So
Right.
for gaming, especially in gaming, like to not own the game that you're playing, that's why I still to this day will buy a lot of shit physical. There's certain shit I'll do digital, but that's just for ease of use. But for the
Hmm.
most part, man, I have no intention of going away from physical media if I can help it. They gonna have to pry that shit up out of my hands. They gonna have to force me.
You got a good point. You honestly do. And you see games like disappear in weird ways like that sometimes. And
Yeah.
with subscription services, it is kind of a blur. Like I don't know if you've ever had your subscription service run out, but just not being able to play a game, it's kind of different than like a series that you didn't finish yet. You can always kind of come back to that. But if a game becomes kind of routine or you want to kind of get to the end and you power through it and like now you just don't have access to it because you then had a 14.99 till Friday or whatever the case.
Bruh.
It's crazy. Like it's kind of a weird reality. So I'm of the mind that subscription services can be a beneficial thing. Like I think we can have a balance. I think that they're going to be a thing. Like it exists. Game Pass is a success. So you're gonna start to see this sort of thing. Especially since cloud gaming is becoming a thing so much. Like this kind of takes away from the need to continuously upgrade storage space or, have the best hardware to play the best games. Like you can kind of get around a lot of that with cloud gaming. And if you can also just get a subscription and have that shit available, then it is Netflix. Like then it's just a smorgasbord of shit available readily like over the internet. I think that can exist along with, hey, I have this physical game that's consistent. I ain't gotta have Wi-Fi for it. You know what I mean? Like, so I think the cloud side of it kind of adds a limitation or like a caveat to the experience that can kind of make it make more sense to me. But at the same time, I don't want physical media to go away at all. Like I think that's very important. It's kind of weird. Like we haven't really talked about Sony's new PlayStation with the removable disc drives and like you can buy it separately if you want to add it on.
See, I think
But
that was overblown. Because
it's
people heard the requirement to get online for it, and it's like a one time thing just to make sure that you're not like because I think there's like an actual like law or something
mm,
connected to it, and that's why they did it like that. So that part of it
okay.
was overblown. I think the PlayStation itself is pointless, but the actual reaction to it was kind of overblown as far as what they were doing.
I would have thought it was a great idea if buying the digital version and upgrading was cheaper, but apparently it's more expensive. Like
It's yeah, yeah.
which I guess you have a cheaper entry level. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's cheaper to manufacture. They'll probably drop the prices more quickly. My biggest heartbreak is that we're not gonna get a whole bunch of dope ass covers now because the covers have changed. So that sucks.
That's gonna suck.
That was like
But
my
yeah, man,
favorite
this
thing about this shit. But
I can't imagine a world where like you look at Netflix and you can scroll through Netflix and right underneath like the description for the show or movie that you're looking at, it'll say leaving November 15th.
yeah,
Imagine doing that in game. Nigga, fucking Spider-Man 2 is on a fucking streaming service leaving November 15th. And now you can't play the shit until they just decide they want to put it back on.
right.
Like that,
Now,
nah, man.
but what about that in addition to having a game? Like, you know what I mean? As a supplemental way of, trying shit out. Like,
Nah, no, because that's see the way. because I get what you're saying as far as the balance of it, but the way
Mm-hmm.
this shit works, especially in technology, is that's how they do it. They introduce it as a balance, and then eventually the other thing takes over. That's always how it's like weaning you off of the physical shit. Like, no, I can't imagine a world like I got a Dreamcast in front of me, man. I got
Mm-hmm.
N64 on top of that. I got 20 N64 games in my fucking dresser right here. That shit's not going away because I can't get it. Like, I can't get it anywhere else. And if I do get it, it's going to be incredibly expensive. That's
Yeah,
the type of shit because we're going to get to a point where even with digital, it's going to get to a point where you can't get it anymore.
that's facts. That is true.
And
Uh,
I don't want to see gaming go that way because I don't think gaming is the place that is a sustainable business model. You can do it with movies because people will watch a movie once, and unless it's like just a super personal classic to them, most people don't watch a movie more than 2 or 3 times. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So you can kind of get away with it. And then especially like Netflix, you know it's gonna cycle back. So you ain't tripping. A game though, when you get the urge to play a game and it ain't there, you're not gonna think about it in 6 months and go, oh, it popped back up again. You're gonna be playing some other shit and you gonna push that out your mind.
now I would argue that the $60 purchase game, you own this game, you can play it when you want to, isn't going to go away. Like, I don't think that there's going to be a point where subscriptions and like, digital downloads replace the ability to just have your game whenever you want it. Like, for that reason, because these companies don't treat game preservation like it matters. Nintendo games are just gone when they're gone. Like, you cannot find
Yeah.
that shit. I mean, that's not even a company like the Dreamcast where they stopped making that bitch. Like, these are Nintendo games that just like fell by the wayside, and now you just can never acquire them by legal means without spending ridiculous money to get somebody's collector's edition. So,
Bro, I still have a copy of Super Mario Brothers / Dunk Hunt because I
man,
knew it's going to be impossible to get.
yeah, yeah. I
Don't
used to
have
have
an
a
NES, but I still got it.
no. I mean, shit. That's the important part. I wish I did still have all my old games, and I had like a big ass stack of PS1 games that I was keeping. Yeah, yeah.
Bro,
I had
I made a point after Aria was born to start rebuilding my shit. I bought a
mm,
Game Boy Color that was the same color as the one I had when I was a kid. I got a
nice.
Dominique bought me a Game Gear for Christmas one year
Okay.
because I wanted her to have the same shit I had growing up. So if she decides she wants to play games, she's literally got the same shit.
Yeah.
But also because I had so much shit that, before GameStop turned into hell, I was trading shit in to get other shit, not thinking
Yeah.
it would ever get this bad. And I'm like, look, well, I got a chance. I'm just gonna go back and rebuild this shit. The last thing I needed to get is a GameCube. Because I still got all
Mm,
my GameCube games. I still got all my physical GameCube games, the ones I loved.
yeah.
Street Volume 2, the Return of the King joint, all of that shit, man. I still got all of that.
But
All I need is the GameCube. So that's gonna be the last thing I pick up a GameCube and I'm done. I got everything
yeah.
back that I need to have back.
And I mean, there's a magic to that shit. Like booting it up in that way. I remember when I was living in Philly for a brief time, I had my old N64 up there and like booted up Super Mario 64 and just like played it on the TV in our living room. It's like a little 19-inch flat screen that everything just plugged in and worked. And I'm just like, yo, this is somehow more magical with this controller. So we
Yeah,
can't
man.
lose that.
Yeah,
Definitely
it
cannot
just
lose that.
it just hit different when you actually playing it on the console. Like we don't even have like boot up screens no more. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you ain't
That's
got no
facts.
little purple cube running around. We ain't doing that no
Yeah.
more.
I'm
That
a
shit.
fan of the PS5 like gold splash shit. That shit looks pretty cool, but
I
that's
mean,
about
it's
it.
cool, but it's like
It's not
it's just like
iconic
you
like
turn
that.
the game on. You know what I mean? That's like, yeah,
Yeah.
turn me on. Thank you. It's like
Yep.
the when you turn a flat screen on and the screen just does this and it's on. Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
but like we PS1 shit, the sound that motherfucker made when it came on, that was part of the fucking experience.
Yeah.
Every game did it.
Yeah, man. It was special. It really PS2, even like, PS3 to a
Iconic,
lesser
bro.
degree, but like
Yeah.
all of them. You
We
know
missing
what?
that shit.
My biggest complaint throughout this console generation has been the Switch's quiet ass menu. Cause like think back to the Wii
Bro.
and even the Wii U, like those little menu sounds were fucking like I felt like I was in a waiting room in heaven
The
just using the
little
Wii.
music, nigga.
Yes, yeah, like it was.
You turn the switch on and it's just like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, like,
Go ahead and click that game.
literally,
I'll start it up.
like it's very comforting. Just the most peaceful shit ever. We get pure silence and we get black and white themes.
Let me tell you something. The Wii's menu was like having a golden retriever in your house when you came home. You know what I mean?
That's
The
facts.
Switch's menu is like having a cat in the house. The cat just looking at you like, why are you in my space?
Yep. Yep. If you're gonna play something,
You
play
can
something.
pet me if you want.
Exactly.
I guess.
Yeah. Shout out to the Switch and all, but yeah, you can have a little bit more splash. It's a console with so much personality. Like, what does this joint sound like? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of flavor?
That click. If they just opened up with the click every time you turn it on, if they just opened up with the click, that would be enough.
I do appreciate that that's the sound of like the controllers clicking into place. So that's pretty cool. But you know, there's a lot they can do there. And you know what? This is a perfect transition because one thing I want to talk about is what we want from the future of consoles, like where we want things to kind of go as far as like the next. I know it's earliest to talk about the next generation of consoles, but that's kind of my point. What else do we need? Like, what could we get next that really matters?
I don't know. It's the problem is that you're almost. I mean, I guess Microsoft shit leaked, so you know there's another console coming,
Right.
but they almost don't have to.
Yeah,
you know they kind of don't. It's, if you're doing the Samsung TV thing, Game Pass is on fucking laptops, phones, tablets, fucking thermometers at this point. Like they kind of don't have to go that route. If they do, cool. But again, going to the physical shit, I would prefer a console. Right. Sony is the toughest of the three to me because they don't have a hook. Like Nintendo's hook is always going to be, we're going to do something different with the controller, or we're going to do something with the overall physical experience. Xbox's hook is we're doing Game Pass and you can play that shit anywhere.
Yeah.
Sony's thing has always been, here's a box and we've made it look really, really cool. But then it's like, okay, well, what are you doing with the box? Because the PlayStation controller hasn't really changed.
Well, I disagree with that because of the DualSense. The DualSense is actually crazy.
Well, no, when I say it hasn't changed, I mean physically. Like there's a chunkiness to the PS5, but there's still two analog sticks in the same spot. Yeah. Still got the D-pad is what it is. The buttons have been what they are. Triggers are what they are.
They're not doing the Nintendo thing for sure.
Yeah, so and then I'm not looking for them to do that, but what I mean is how many times can you do a slightly revamped version of your controller and a slightly sleeker version of your box?
Right, that's more powerful and has a new set of the same series of games. Like,
so it's like for them, I don't know what to expect from the console, to want from the console, because I know what I'm going to get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not expecting them to do anything particularly innovative.
Which is interesting. Like, I guess they don't have to. You're right there in a position where their thing is, hey, this VCR plays movies you can't play on no other VCRs. Like, that's pretty much where Sony's at. Like, yeah, we have the hot shit, come here. It don't matter what the box. This time the box looks like a fucking router. Why not? You're getting God of War and Spider-Man on this router, so come by it. But
and like I said, that's my favorite design of all the PlayStation consoles.
I love it
because it just looks cool in a room.
You remember those old like videos people made of like the PS9 and it's like an orb and shit?
Yeah,
and it always seemed completely ridiculous until now. The PS5
and now it feels like we're on the way there.
PS5 is a step in that direction, which is crazy. Like that shit could happen. And I fuck with it. Like it's futuristic in a gaudy ass way that I really appreciate. But
I ain't gonna front though. If they drop the orb on the next one, I'll be in this motherfucker like Saruman.
Man,
nigga, I'll paint the eye of Sauron on that bitch and keep it moving. That would be fire as fuck.
Hey, listen, the big ass orb in Vegas. What if
that's some weird
you
shit.
drop a console with that type of I don't know how expensive like a LED like screen on your console would be, but you change that motherfucker up game to game on some like Vegas orb shit. That would be different. That would be kind of fire. I mean,
see, That would be a dope way to go. Like you turn on what Spider-Man 6 by the time it comes out, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just Spider-Man's face on the
Facts.
console. That would be dope.
That would be dope as hell. Like I
It
could.
would
That's
be
some.
$800, but it would be dope.
Yeah, that is absolute facts. But that would be that's the only way any console could come close to the magic of the Dreamcast memory card. Like that's the only way y'all getting close to
Bruh,
that
that
shit.
VMU, they
Yeah,
look,
different.
they was on some other shit with that. A lot of what the
Yes.
Dreamcast did, they was way ahead of their time, and it was just the wrong time for it.
Yep, that was their problem. That was their
Yeah,
problem.
that was it. It was the console itself was dope. A lot of the games was dope. Capcom out here talking about they got a major announcement coming. Motherfucker, if it ain't Power Stone, keep it.
Interesting. I didn't even hear about that. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, hey.
they just said I think about a week ago they said they had a
Mm,
major announcement coming for a game. Um, I don't know what it
mm.
could be, but like I said, Power Stone or nothing.
Do Capcom still have the rights to Okami? Because I'm gonna throw that in there for I'll be good with it.
But see, I feel like that's like for us that would be major, but that's such a
That's not
niche
a
game.
that's not one of those. Well, I mean, shit,
And it
man.
shouldn't be.
Yeah, but in this industry, with the people that you talking to when you make it, like I'm guessing they announced that on Twitter.
Yeah, I
The
think it
people
was.
the motherfuckers that follow Capcom on Twitter are probably the types that know what Okami is and will be hype about that shit. Like the people that's going to see this announcement are the types that'll be like, oh shit, like it might be a pop off, especially if it looks good enough. But it's probably not what it is. I'm
It
just
would
you
be
know
dope. It would be dope.
this is copium. It's okay. I'll
Yeah.
deal with that.
But I mean, when's the last time Capcom gave us what we wanted? I mean, them last two fucking uh press conferences they did or whatever, the showcases was ass.
Oh my God. In a time when Capcom is on the complete rise, how are you still fumbling those showcases? Like,
Bro.
I'm talking about some of the worst I've ever seen. I mean, no disrespect, but
Unmitigated ass.
like,
Like
God,
just
the presentation is just not there. Like, don't do a press conference for that. We don't want to see that. I don't know how that.
yeah, man. That's an email. That's an email.
100%, 100%. So, you know,
Email with YouTube clips.
that brings up an interesting combo because E3 is apparently coming back. What's the future of E3 looking like? In this, I mean, it's looking dark to me if you're asking.
Let me tell you something. They can try and bring E3 back if they want, but the way Jeff was dancing on their grave last year or this past year, man, look,
Man,
he all right, go ahead and try that shit if you want.
yeah,
He I'm telling you, he gonna get out here and be like, oh, they trying? All right, we about to stomp on their motherfucking heads.
straight up. Like he is on some like on some Jay-Z Nas drops a album, so Jay drops
Right.
a single shit. Like it's really that type of vibe.
I will
And
say this though.
yeah,
Just to briefly go back to what we talked about earlier. The Game Awards is next month.
mm-hmm.
Jeff need to come out here and talk about these layoffs and put some of these motherfuckers in their place.
Yeah,
Like that's the platform, the type of platform we need speaking on this type of shit.
agreed. That would be great. Like that's exactly what this type of movement is for. To be able to step out and say something about that. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous at this point, but I feel like I don't know what it's going to look like because they've got to reinvent. Like E3's got to come out and be something kind of different than what it's been. I've always stood on the ground that if they kind of lean into the physical show of it, because that's what you always hear, like, oh yeah, to y'all E3 is the press conferences, but for us it's the actual show floor where you get to try shit.
Right.
They lean into that a little bit more, like make that what E3 is, like straight up. This is where y'all got to try this game a year out.
I mean, I think they could go back to the convention style shit. The best thing about E3 was it was for us as gamers. And that pivot point where they stop, they cut it in half at first as far as like gamers coming, because that was like a destination thing. You know what I mean? Like you look at San Diego Comic-Con, motherfuckers is showing up, and it's all nerds.
Yep.
And that should be fired every year. And that was part of what made E3 dope. Was it was like I said before, it was our Super Bowl. So we pull up in that motherfucker, and the experience was about kicking it with other gamers. Which press conference you gonna hit? I'm gonna hit the Microsoft one. I'm gonna hit the Sony one. I might see Nintendo, but if I got the time for it. But you was like linking up with your folks or linking up with niggas you just met and like really, really participating in this shit. And like there were moments that were specific to people who were there. Like just for watching it, it was dope to see shit like Legend of Zelda. But for the motherfuckers, like there are iconic memes and moments
Hmm.
that exist because
Absolutely.
of people who were actually in the building. And
Right.
that's the type of shit I think they need to bring back because that's the thing that Summer Game Fest honestly isn't really doing.
That's
You
true.
know, it's turned into the virtual thing because of COVID. But even when it wasn't that, it almost felt like an award show. Like you kind of had to be dressed up to go and that type of shit.
Yeah.
It's not about the gamers. Make this shit about the gamers, and this shit will blow the fuck back up again.
And I feel that. Like I feel like Summer Games Fest should be the place where all the trailers congregate. You know what I mean? Like this is where Jeff kind of makes deals and premieres things. Like he shows you the first look at this thing. He might announce a bunch of shit. And
Right.
then E3 can still be press conferences where somebody comes out and does the thing I know you devs want to do, which is talk about your game. Like tell people what the fuck is up with it. Have people on stage playing it. Maybe have like folks, you know, like you said, everything that we used to get from E3. But you know, I feel like we're in a weird place where they're not gonna take back the crown as far as premiering trailers and shit like that. Like Jeff took that shit and ran with it. And if they try to compete in that avenue, it's going to be a thing where everybody's going to make a deal one way or another. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yep.
a great trailer is going to pop up here and there and there and on this press conference, and two are going to be on that one. And they're all going to be surrounded by just random stuff you don't particularly want to see. No disrespect to any other games, but you spread a little thin at this point, you know, with shit you can announce, like big
Yeah.
blockbuster games. So that's what I'm concerned about as far as both of them existing. I really do hope that they can find that balance. And I think that might be the best way to do it. Lean into the fact that you got everybody there and you can have the devs sit down and explain, like, this is your show. You know, Jeff's show is Jeff's show, but you can have this be your thing. So that might be a
Dog,
way.
turn it into Comic Con. Like motherfuckers, you had the fucking Rock show up at Comic Con dressed as Black Adam,
Right.
descending from the fucking sky, and then he just sat down, he changed clothes, sat down, and just talked to motherfuckers about the movie.
Facts. That would be amazing. You know what I mean?
Like
It
that's the
should be
kind of
Comic
shit.
Con.
Because, like you said, we give a fuck about people who are making the game. These
Mm-hmm.
people are known by name. And it's not just like the lead developer. You know, motherfuckers know who some of the writers are by
Right.
name. You know, these are people we'd want to hear from, hear about the process of making it there, or just what they're excited about as far as what they did with the game. All of that shit would be dope. Just turn it into something where it actually feels like we're interacting with the shit we give a fuck about.
Facts. It's something that feels like it just writes itself, but it's all about whether they're going to kind of take it in that direction. We'll see as it goes on, but let us run it is pretty much the point. Like
Yeah,
we'll get you back on the right shit, on the right
yeah.
track.
That's what it's really all it come down to.
Right.
Let us just give it to us. We'll take care of it from there.
Facts. But I feel like we kind of wrapping this up somewhat early. There's a lot to discuss when it comes to the games industry. But was there like any last thing that you kind of hoping that you see shift as far as the culture of games, the way that we are, like where we're at in this moment?
I mean, the main thing is taking care of the developers. I just want to see that shit go better. I mean, you see a company like Bungie gets acquired for $3 billion fucking dollars, and
Mm-hmm.
then all the people that work there are told that hey, there won't be any layoffs as a result of this, and then months later they're all getting laid off.
Right.
And it's an internal company decision, and that's fucked up. That type of shit is fucked up to me. You know, it's like trading for somebody and going, yeah, we're not gonna flip you to another team, and then you get flipped to another team a month later.
Right.
It's like that type of shit is whack. Is we got to there's got to be a better job done in the gaming industry of actually taking care of the people who make games, because at some point it's going to get to a place where the developers are doing their own thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to lose a lot of the shit that we like. like this. I mean, it hasn't happened with Insomniac as far as layoffs that I know, but
Right.
the Spider-Mans, God of Wars, shit like that is not going to exist because people are just going to get fed up with being treated as replaceable, just cogs in the machine. And if there's nobody to make those games, then I mean, yeah, we're going to get dope games on the other side of it, but we're not going to get the shit that we like.
Right.
You know, like you look at Super Mario Wonder and people are talking about how great it is. And then there's the report comes out that of the people who worked on the original game 35 years ago, there are 5 people who are still there who worked on that game. Nintendo has like a 98% retention rate.
Yeah.
And the quality of their fucking games reflects it.
Exactly. You see it all in it. Like
So,
every single step that they take it. Yeah.
treat people good, quality games still come out, and you
Right.
still make money. It's not hard.
It really is. Like it should be priority number one. And I think that's a actually excellent line to kind of end it on. Treat people better. Treat people like you appreciate the art that they're helping you give to the world. So we will kind of leave it there, man. Let us know in the comments, what you think of the state of the industry, what we can do to kind of be better to each other, how we can kind of lift up this industry together. Because I know it's something that we all love, man. Make sure you holler at us on Twitter, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below because we want to hear from you guys. But until next time,
Fly,
man,
Eagles, fly.
Until next time, fly, Eagles, fly, go Birds, and fuck Dallas. Absolutely. If you're a Dallas fan, just listen. We're gonna be chilling next episode. I promise.
I won't. It's a bye week, so we
It is
just got another week to get on you about that win.
You know what? I can't make any promises about next week, but definitely tune in anyway. But until then, man, I am Kendall. This is Tony, and keep gaming. Take care.